Okay, so now the next step, my mounting screws. I'm just gonna unscrew this and take it off. This is just a little cardboard washer in the back, and I could screw that in there like that. But see, seems as though I'm gonna save this for another time. I can put it in here. Now see, some have, see this little goodie up there? I can push that in. It's not gonna come out. It's not gonna come out because there's that goodie in there, okay? But if you don't have that little goodie, you can put that on there. Screw that on there like that. Okay. And where's my other one? My other one's up here. Okay. I could pull on this kind of hard and get it right out of that little cardboard screw. And they do that just so that your screws don't fall. Now see this one here? There's nothing there. That little clip is not there. This just keeps everything together. The next time you get ready for that, you can throw this in your box in a bag with all your electrical stuff and know that your screw is going to be right where you need it. Okay. And now I'm gonna get my screws back on here. I got a little Phillips screwdriver that happens to have a magnetic tip on it, and sometimes it helps me and sometimes it doesn't. But okay, now, like I said, this sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, like I said. But see, I picked up that screw. There we go. See, that has a little, that's got a little deal right there that's flopping back and forth. You could put the wire in to the side there and then screw it down straight without putting the curly Q in it. See, this side's got it too. So you can put it on the side or you can put it in the hole. If you wanted to strip your the end of your wire and just poke it in the back or slide it down through there. See, they give it, you can put it right there or right there. Run it straight and then clamp it down as long as you've got that little flap down. You see? Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with the next step. Now you might have been wondering, hey, how come these mounting screws, how come you did that, Joe? Why didn't you just use those same ones? Well, sometimes when they install boxes in the wall, they're pushed back, or maybe they don't cut the sheetrock out enough, and this plastic box is attached to a stud, and they push the sheetrock in there, and if it's not cut exactly, the side of it could push into the wall, especially with a 2-gang box. This is called a 2-gang box. A single gang box would be for 1 light switch. 2-gang box would be for 2, 3-gang, 4-gang. I've seen them up to 6-gang, 6 switches all together on 1 box. Okay, and so where the mounting screws are in the plastic box, they're stuck back about 3/8 of an inch from the face of the sheetrock. That's why I'm going to end up using these other screws. Okay, so now I'm just going to push this, hang on to it straight, push it back into the box. See, I'm trying to keep my knuckles or my fingertips from hitting the wall, and I'm pushing that in. I can see I'm up there nice, right there. Okay, now I can get my drywall screw in there, fish it in there, hold my mouth just right, and I think the 1¼ screws will be fine. And if it was stuck back any further, guess what? I have 1 5/8 screws. I I've got 1 inch, inch and a quarter, inch and 5/8, 2 inch, 2.5, and 3 inch. I always carry with me. Okay. I look at that, make sure this is nice and flat to the wall. Not that this side is sticking out further than this side or vice versa, because when I get ready to put the cover plate on, I want everything to line up nice and flat. Okay, I got my little black mark on the sheetrock over here, and this one here, I'm just gonna tighten that to where it's flush with everything else, and I may have to loosen that up or tighten it in once I get ready to put the cover on, the cover plate. Okay. I'll take the cover and look at that, and I can see that the bottom has to be pushed over. Okay, so I'm going to loosen that, and I'm going to try to hold it over the best I can. Because see, I'm not, like I said, this one's just kind of flopping in the breeze, but because this one's tight, that's there. I want to be careful not to push that in too far, and then when I put my my mounting screws on the cover plate, that's going to keep this from going in or out. And see, I even put foam pieces of insulation inside my cover, and I did that throughout the condo to prevent air from inside the wall coming out. And you do that on exterior walls and even interior walls where maybe you have crawl space underneath your house. Maybe there's a hole drilled. Maybe the electrical goes underneath the house and goes somewhere else. Maybe somebody didn't caulk the hole. Maybe you've got air coming up from outside, air coming from the top down. And it didn't really cost me too much to get these on. And so I put those on everywhere throughout the condo. Okay, so I'm just going to push that over. I'm going to hold that up. This area is flush pretty much all the way, except at the bottom it looks like it's sticking out just a hair. Just a hair. So, you know, I could leave it, or I could take my time and do it right. And that means screwing this in just a hair. I like that. Okay. And now I can hold that in there. That looks a lot better. But because I am who I am, I'm going to put it in just a hair more. I'm kind of like a perfectionist if I can. I always figure, hey, why not do it right? If you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And, you know, is anybody ever going to see that? No. But I know that I've done the best I can. Okay. And now I take my little screws here and put those back in. And I know once I get that tight to there, that this cover's not going to go in, it's not going to go out any, even though that tab was not screwed down onto the drywall, because there was no drywall there, right? I just make these snug. I don't worry if the lines to the screw are not exactly straight. Like, see, both of these are almost straight across. Could I make these straight across? Yeah, probably. But I just make them flush. This happens to be a vinyl type cover plate. Some cover plates are a hard plastic. This is vinyl, which means you can push down on it more, and it's designed not to crack. But if you do it too tight, you could actually dimple these. And if you have the other cover plate that's a hard plastic one, if you try to line all these up, let's say, like my electrician who used to work for me years ago, he liked to have all of his screws straight up and down. Well, if it's not straight up and down, you know you have to turn it another 3/4 of a turn or a half a turn, let's say, almost a half a turn, and you do it, you could, if this one's really super tight already, you could possibly crack your cover plate. I've seen it happen. Okay, so there you go. That's all there is to this project. Okay, now are we done with this project? Well, almost. The other thing I've got to do, obviously, is turn the breaker back on and come back here and make sure everything works. I also have to clean up, wipe down the counter, grab my screws. See, I've got one extra mounting screw. I can put that in with my box of all my machine threaded screws. I can put this in my wood threaded screw box. I've got 2 screws for there. And then I've got my light switch that has the scratch in it, still works. Worst case scenario, I keep this for an emergency light switch, or if I reinstall a light switch somewhere where it doesn't really matter where it's at, if it's way off in the corner somewhere or something, maybe I'll decide to use that switch some other day, okay? All right, I'm gonna turn the breaker back on and we'll see what happens. Okay, I still have my trouble light on in the bathroom. I have not turned this light switch on yet. I turned the breaker on, and the important thing to realize is when you turn your breaker back on, hopefully it does not trip on you. If your electrical breaker inside your sub panel, wherever you have it in your house, outside your house, in your garage, outside your garage, in a storage room, wherever it is, you turn that breaker back on. If it trips, and then you try to reset it by turning the breaker off, then trying to turn it back on, and it still trips, that tells you that either one of your wires in here got loose, pulled off the back, or an existing wire inside your junction box got messed up, or you're jerking on your wires and you've got some wires in there that might be under a wire nut, and the wire nut got loose, and the wire is loose inside your wire nut, even though it looks like all your wires are underneath your wire nut. It's got to be something because it didn't trip before, okay? So then you'd have to pull this apart, figure out what it is, put it all back together, go back down, and to set a tripped breaker, here's something else to realize. I made a video on this one time, and if you don't know, listen up. If you have a tripped breaker, you go down to your electrical panel and you found out, hey, how come my lights in the bathroom aren't working? How come my electrical outlets in my bathroom's not working? How come the kitchen lights aren't working? Or the plug in the kitchen is not working? Well, you go into your sub panel and you find out that your breaker's tripped. You can't just turn your breaker on from a tripped location. It never works. You might think, oh brother, the breaker's broken. You first have to grab your breaker, turn it firmly to the off position and make sure it's clicked off, OFF. Then turn the breaker back on, okay? And hopefully it stays. If it trips, that tells you there's something going on inside your electrical system for wherever that breaker is, to where the wires go into your house, okay? A rat could have chewed your wires. It could have been a coincidence that something happened up there, or there's a wire nut that's loose in an electrical junction box up in your attic, inside your wall, by your light switch, by your plug. Maybe your plug is broken, maybe your light switch is broken. There's something that's causing that breaker to trip. Okay, so anyways, I turned it back on, nothing happened. I mean, nothing happened, meaning it didn't trip, it stayed on. So now let's try this. Okay, my light works. Now I've got, see, this light, this switch for the fan is down, so that's off. There goes my exhaust fan, my loud, noisy exhaust fan that I'm gonna have to replace one of these days. And when I do, of course I'll make a video just for you, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. You don't have to be an electrician. Lots of these things that I do, you do not have to be an electrician. If you needed to be a licensed electrician, if there was something that I was showing you that I didn't think you could do, guess what? Chances are I'm not going to make that video. Or if I do make a video, I might tell you, hey, this is for advanced people, or it's something that I don't even know how to do, and that's why you're watching somebody else do it. for me or something like that. Usually all the stuff that you see on my YouTube channel, if you see me doing it, you can about bet that if I can do it, an average Joe, you can do it too. Now see, how long did that take? If I didn't have to explain anything or show you anything, I could have done this probably in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay? Doesn't take that long. No sense calling an electrician. If your switch is bad and it's not working, don't think, oh great, I got to call an electrician. And once that electrician steps in his foot in your house, guess what? It's going to cost you money. To replace something like that, it's probably going to cost you close to $100 or more, depending if he's got whatever he needs on his truck or whatever. Okay? So start thinking about saving some money and doing it yourself. That's all I have for this time. But I'll be back with more videos. Well, I can cross that one off my list as soon as I clean up.